Hi guys, welcome to Rumble and Roar podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm Lenoria and this is my co-host
Shayna. Hey guys.
Yes, and we have a special guest today. I'm so excited. This is David Price from Basic Knowledge Academy. I love that school. My children went to that school. Both of my kids went to that school. Let me tell you a little bit about Basic Knowledge, if I can remember off the top of my head. Okay, that's an accredited school. We have a Morehouse graduate here. The school has been open for 25 years. What else? What am I missing? What else am I missing, Mr. Price?
That we're just the best school around.
Yes, and that you are so right. He is so right about that. And actually, you're probably saying that as a joke, but to me, that is for real because my children, both of my kids, went to your school. And the reason, I have to tell this story, guys. I have to tell this story. I know that the topic today is going to be education and Basic Knowledge Academy, but I want you guys to know that both of my children went to Basic. And when I tell you they were in public school and they were doing okay, however, like every other child, you fall behind a little bit and you need those hours if you're going to graduate. That was my son's situation. My son was a junior. Do you remember that, Ms. Price?
I do. Yeah. My
son was a junior and he had to go to, he had to get some hours for summer school, and we were just a mess because, they'll tell you that, okay, you're going to be a senior next year. If you don't get this many hours, you're not going to march with your class.
Right.
And he wanted to march with his class so bad. And I didn't know what we were going to do. We went to the counselor. I'm not going to call the school that my son went to, but we went to the counselor and we talked to the lady in there, and they never mentioned your school. But it was one lady that pulled me to the side because she saw the stress in my face. And she was like, come here. She said, I overheard you. I'm in the office, and she said, I overheard you. She said, have you ever heard of Basic? And I said, no, Basic Knowledge Academy. And I said, no. She said, look it up and give them a call. I think he's going to be okay. When I tell you, Shayna, you already know he was okay. So I'm talking to you. He was okay. He graduated with his class and he did really well. He always talk about Mr. Price. He said, Mom, that guy, he run his business. And after that, I'm trying to make a long story short. After that, guys, my son graduated with his class. And then my daughter, oh my goodness, the school that she was going to, we could not go to that school because of our where we live. But she was in a special program. I can't remember the name of it. What was the name of that program?
Magnet program?
IB program.
Okay.
And see, when you're in an IB program, they will let you, if your grades are really good, they'll let you go to that school even if you're not in that district, Mm-hmm. So they were letting I'm not sure if you know this whole story. I know it because we just came, looking like little poor puppies coming to the school. But but we were in that school, my daughter, the IB program. And that's guys, if you have any children in the IB program, you already know it's very challenging and they have to make really good grades and they have to be 100% on their game. And what I didn't like, Shayna, what I did not like is I felt like and I don't want to be too bad and harsh. I'm not calling the school's name, but I felt like I was a puppy and they had meat in front of me. Like, if you don't do what I say, you're not going to eat. Mm-hmm. And my daughter was so stressed all the time. Every day she would come home, face breaking out. I'm under stress because she's not happy. Right. And I was like, okay, we're going to because they always threaten us. If she doesn't get a higher score, if she doesn't keep her grades up, we're going to have to take her out of this school. And we just did not want to go to the ones over here in this area, and that's just what we didn't want. So, that's how we felt. But we wanted to go there, and they were making it to where we know we got you, and you better do what we say and everything. And I'm not gonna say that they were just doing it to us. They did it to everyone in there because we had some friends that were in there as well, and they were taking it kind of hard. It was too hard. And I said, okay, we got to get up out of here because I cannot have her in she was in, I think, the 10th grade. I think she did 11th and 12th grade with you. I'm not sure. I know you got a lot of kids coming through your school, so you can't remember just mine, but I know she did either the last year or the last 2 years. However, when I tell you the first week that she left and went to Basix, she was so, when I tell you our lives changed, she was happy, she was smiling again, she was talking. Let me put the icing on the cake. My daughter had the hardest time doing math. She just could not catch it. We had private tutors that would come to the house that I was paying, and she would get like a little bit of it.
Okay.
And then she's like, okay, but mom, when I get ready to take a test, this is only a portion of it. I need to know a little bit more. And she could never get math. It was like foreign object to her. It just couldn't get it. When she went to Basic, Shayna, I am not exaggerating even a little bit. When she went to Basic Knowledge Academy and she got with not a private, but it was her class. What was the name of the class? What was the teacher? Mr. Charles was the math teacher. When I tell you, he was one-on-one with her, made sure she understood. He didn't even like to go. Now see, this is what I'm trying to say. With Basic Knowledge Academy, the education there is what I got back in the old school. See, the teachers really cared about us.
Right.
They cared about your well-being. They cared about you learning. They cared about what you wore. They cared about everything. And I'm not bashing the public school system or anyone for that matter, but what I'm trying to say is I just didn't see it a whole lot, and I do see it in Basic. And when she went there, she did so well. She understood math, and she passed her test. And I couldn't help her because I didn't know that stuff. Don't laugh at me. I don't know how to do that stuff. That stuff I do not know how to do. However, when it was time for tests, usually she's like nervous and just could not do anything. It's like, oh mom, we got a test tomorrow, this, that, and the other. When she was ready for her test at Basic, she was like, okay, let's do this. I said, you ready? She was like, yes, mom, I understand. You don't know how that feels as a mother when you hear your child say, I understand, I got this. So thank you, Mr. Price. And look, I done took the whole show, and I'm sorry, guys, but I can't help it. So, Mr. Price, what do you want to say? What would you like to say?
Well, I just want to first of all say thank you for having me here on today, and it was definitely a pleasure and an honor to be invited, and more so it's an honor to serve your children. And I think that's pretty much where we started and where we will end whenever we the Lord sees fit for us to end, and that is in the position of service. Yes. So we started as servants, and we look at ourselves as how can we cater to the needs of students. And
that was one of my questions I was going to ask. You done already answered it. Okay. So so what makes you, what made you start Basic Knowledge?
Sure. Well, I was a teacher in a traditional school in 1997, actually. So the same year I graduated college. So I'm celebrating my 25th year from graduating Morehouse, and also the 25th year of running Basix. So I started teaching, and I was teaching in a traditional high school English, which was how my degree was in English. And so I started teaching English and started seeing so many students in my class and learning early that the system just wasn't equipped to handle every situation. So, and you just can't handle everything with the time restraints, with the amount of students you have.
Yes. So
I immediately started seeing, okay, how can I really impact some of these students? And I started tutoring. So I started tutoring out of my home. I started tutoring 6 different areas of English. And I kept saying I wanted to make sure students understood the basics, B-A-S-I-C-S, basics of things, reading and writing and speaking and resume writing and standardized testing and all types of this individualized.
The standardized testing thing, oh my gosh.
Individualized areas of English. So a buddy of mine said, well, call it Basix and spell it with an X, Basix, as you're doing 6 different
Yes,
areas of
yes.
English. So I started tutoring out of my home, and I started calling it Basix, Basics Knowledge in 1997.
That's so clever to me.
And before I knew it, I had parents who wanted me to do math and science. So I wasn't degreed to teach math and science. So I called a couple of my buddies over who were degreed, and they came over and they started teaching.
Did they? They came from Morehouse as well.
Some of them came from just other schools I was teaching.
Oh,
at that time.
okay.
So just some coworkers started coming, and I started paying them to come over in the afternoons and teach math and science. And before I knew it, I had math, science, English, history, Spanish, everything being tutored within
that is
in my home. And 3 years later, we then started homeschooling these kids. Some of the parents wanted us to actually teach them all day. So I left my job after teaching 3 years full-time. So I was teaching full-time, and Basix was an evening
You walked out on Facebook.
school. Yes, so I did that for 3 years, and then came home and started doing homeschooling. And we started homeschooling students throughout the day. And before we knew it, we had a lot of students that were coming over for homeschooling.
Wow.
And we then started realizing, okay, well, how can we graduate these students? Well, we have to become accredited to graduate.
Yes.
So we started seeking accreditation. We're now in 2003. So we're 6 years old at this point. And we sought accreditation, and we became accredited right there in my home. And it allowed us to be able to award degrees. So I then started seeking, okay, we need to get into commercial space then, because we've been in my house for 6 years. I want to grow.
Oh my God.
And we moved into commercial space at that moment. I took on a teaching job so I could help finance the business. So I started back teaching full time. So basically was running during the daytime. I had some teachers there, and I was teaching somewhere else full time just so I could help the school grow. And long story made short, we just kept evolving into different programs. We've done kindergarten through 12th grade for many years.
I didn't know you did kindergarten.
Yes, we had a full kindergarten through 12th grade school. So we all had with blazers, uniforms, PE, the whole 9 yards.
But now, guys, it's not kindergarten to 12th now. It's 9th through 12th,
we
right?
settled on 9th through 12th because that became our biggest niche. That became our biggest area of...
That's when it's
really
serious,
helped.
though.
But you got to do adult education as well.
Well, and the whole time, in the midst of that, we started doing adult education. This happened around 2003. We started being able to service adults who had not graduated high school and did not want a GED. So for at least, I don't know how many years, we were the only school in Georgia that you could come to after a certain age and still get your high school diploma. And we're still one of the few schools here in Georgia that you can come to as an adult. So we have just evolved to just service, whatever we could do. We've had all kinds of programs, all kinds of students. Who's the best student? Any type of 9th through 12th grade student who
My students.
needs a different
My
a
children.
different
My
way
children
of
are
schooling.
best.
Yeah, a different way of schooling. We way before COVID,
But you
we
know what?
offered. Go ahead, sorry.
I'm interrupting you. I'm just like, I'm getting it all in because some of the things that you're saying I did not know about. I saw on Facebook there, you have a lot of scholars come out of your school. It's a lot of people who have...
We have had over 7,000 graduates.
Yeah, well, my daughter is one of them. And she actually she was the speaker at her graduation. But I'm just saying, I saw where on Facebook there was someone, he was a star, someone big, famous that graduated from your school. I can't remember.
Well, yeah, we have a couple of students who are now in the major leagues. That's who you're probably referring to. Yes, so we definitely have had even students who come to us just for classes, like your son. I'm not sure if he graduated our school, if he just came for classes.
He went for classes.
Exactly.
He was summer school.
So that is who we count as our graduates.
Hours.
So I can tell you the thousands who just come and take classes like your son, and do not graduate, but yet we're still impacted by us in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
I am trying to find this. I saw something on the Facebook page where, dang, I can't find it now. Goodness, I should have had my stuff together. It was where you said, I like one thing. It says, the leaves show us how wonderful change is, or something like that.
It says, in a few days, the leaves are about to show us how lovely things can become when we let things go.
Oh, guys.
So, and just showing how just letting things go, which is part of what has to happen when you come to Basix. Many times we have to forget what has happened in the past.
And you gotta let it go.
And let some of those ideas go. Even ideas about what school you wanted to finish. That might not be the school that's best for you at that moment or this season of your life.
And then there was another one. And why, you know what? Every time you get in front of something, you can't find it, but this is real and it's live, so I can't find it. But if you can remember it, it was another thing that said about, gosh, I just lost my train of thought. It was about a child don't always come to school for academics, but they come for love. Once you get the love part down, academics can be applied. It was pretty much that was in a nutshell, right?
Which is one of the reasons why many times in the public schools they're having challenges. It's because it's the amount of students. So it's not necessarily the system or poor teaching or things of that nature. It's just way too many.
Yes.
You can't but affect and properly love sometimes. So, we have had the ability because we are a small environment.
That's right.
We do have the ability to partner with parents and students and love them in a different way and go to their different events and really show up for them. But you can't do that sometimes in a bigger environment. So, of course,
if you do, you're still overlooked. When it's in a big school, I mean, you're there, but you're just a number and you're
Definitely. So, definitely love. Many students are looking for love. And once you're able to really affect love with them and impact them in that way, then you can teach them.
That's right. That is so good.
So you mentioned that some adults who never got their diploma come back to get their diploma. What is the real difference between getting your GED versus getting a diploma?
Sure, and that's a huge question that's been asked to us over the years, and really the largest population of our school are adults.
Okay.
So that's a huge population, and because our online division serves Georgia, so you can attend our school anywhere in Georgia as an adult, and we've been doing that way before COVID. So with that in mind, what is the biggest difference? Well, the first difference is with a GED, you do not get a transcript.
Okay.
Because you have just taken the GED test to receive your diploma. However, with a transcript, you have now gone through the classes. Okay, all the classes that Georgia requires. Georgia requires 23 units. So that means you've gone through algebra, geometry, algebra 2. You've gone through Spanish 1, Spanish 2, economics, world history. So some places still like you and think you maybe have a little more experience if you've gone through classes versus just taking a test.
Right.
So let's just be honest. If you're just taking classes and a test, well, we can say how much possibly you've been exposed to.
Okay.
When I say how much you've learned, we're going to say how much you've at least been exposed to.
I was going to say because
does not prove you've learned anything. But at least you were exposed to this, and you're going through the tenacity to finish and finish again and keep on finishing. Versus sometimes it's looked at you were just taking a quick route out.
Okay.
So I say that to say that they say many times the GED doesn't matter because many places take the GED. Yes, they do. However, behind the scenes, employers, if given an option, and they have two different applications sitting there, GED and a high school diploma. I mean, we know possibly where they're going to if you're competing.
Right.
That's the case. Keep competing.
So speaking of the classes that you're exposed to, do you think that financial literacy should be taught?
100%, and we actually do that. I posted something about that 2 years ago. That the classes that really should be pushed in a major way aren't really even pushed. And a parent of mine, ironically a parent of that celebrity that you're speaking of, contacted me and said, hey, I actually have a financial literacy course that I would like to offer because therefore students can learn about credit reports and can learn about mortgages and taxes and so forth and so on. So she's been teaching that pro bono for us online for the last year and a half.
Oh, wow.
So
that is good.
we actually do push a lot of financial literacy and understanding just all of the nuances and understanding your finances.
Okay. I did see that they're supposed to be, implementing that in 2023 in schools, our public schools. But that's just like them taking out sex ed or driver's ed. Like,
Right.
we needed those too. Like,
we did. Yeah,
did those just miss the budget cut or just
Right.
Missed the budget cut,
Yeah.
Shayna.
those are important.
They are. They
Yes.
really
They
are.
really are.
Yeah.
They're very important. Yes.
Yeah.
So, what are two things that you would change about the education system, whether it's, your school personally or just overall? Not even in Georgia, just
Sure.
overall.
One I would change. I think many people would agree that our testing needs to be reevaluated.
Oh
because
my gosh,
we're
David, you
such-
better say that
Yeah,
again.
we're such testers.
But aren't they supposed to go away with that? What is that? CRCT? They're supposed to be done with that, right?
Well, yeah. So they're making all kinds of adjustments to different tests, but at the end of the day, we're going to always have some level of tests, which are fine.
Yeah.
However, when you're using those as really your standards, or to measure, not only
Somebody to go to the next level because they can do good all year long.
or your teacher can be absent and you have a substitute for half the year.
Ooh.
So there's all kinds of situations that can
Yes.
go on that can prohibit you from
Yes.
really being exposed to the material that you need to be exposed to.
Absolutely.
So it's just I would change definitely the testing situation. And I definitely would change some of the courses that we're pushing because I think realistically they're just not as significant as maybe we could replace them with other courses that are a little more tangible.
I love these answers,
So
Mr.
that would
Price.
probably be
Oh my
the
gosh,
idea.
because I'm not trying to be funny, guys, and y'all probably are like, get your life, lady, get your life. No, get your life, because I don't understand. We do need to know how to add. We do know how to subtract.
Right.
We have to know certain things.
Right.
But there are certain things that I've learned in school I've never
You never used.
used.
you
Nobody
never-
ever asked me
you
about
never
it.
would
I
use
probably
it.
never. And that was, to me, you could have used that time trying to teach me how to do math better. Then maybe I could have helped my daughter better. I could have did something better if they had spent more time on the stuff that we really, really gonna need out here.
I think that a lot has changed because I was really good at math. But to help my daughter with math,
You couldn't do it.
she's like, I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. She's like, no, that's not how we do it. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh my
well,
gosh.
show me. And she'll show me. I'm like, what in the world?
I promise you, I took mine, and see, I hate to say this because I might look real funny, but it doesn't matter. It's the truth. I took my daughter, I think she was in 2nd or 3rd grade. She was doing her math. And I was helping her with it. And I was like, no, do this, and see the answer. She looked at me. She said, what is that? I said, this is simple. This is simple. I know you know how to do this. This is such and such. And she was like, Mom, I don't even know what that is. I said, your teacher never shown you this? I went to the school with her the next day and told the teacher, I said, I was helping my daughter with her homework last night. I showed her what I showed my daughter. I said, this is what I got. This is the answer we're trying to get. I'm writing that down. And she laughed. She said, baby, we don't do that. I said, oh my gosh. I said, how am I supposed to help my daughter if y'all are teaching her a different way that I don't even know?
Right.
So everything has changed
Yes. most
completely.
definitely.
Yes.
Most
You
definitely.
just did 20 steps to do what I just did in 5. This is not mathing. The math is not mathing.
Yeah.
Right. So it takes a special even understanding, excuse me, maybe help your child maybe and with their work effectively. So you can imagine how much pressure the teachers are under pushing these ideas because they have to perform on standardized tests,
Yeah.
which in some cases the teachers bonuses and so forth are dependent on this. So it becomes a very much stressful situation.
And they get anxiety like that. I know we used to take the Iowa test. That's what it was when I was in school. We had the Iowa test, but now they have the CRCT.
Iowa?
Mm-hmm.
Why was you in? Were you
I
in
don't know.
Georgia?
I think it was like an acronym.
Test on basic
You
skills.
remember?
Yes, ITBS. I think.
We had ITBS. So now they have the CRCT. They have the MAP test. I'm like, okay, we only did one probably per year. Like, why is there so many when they're barely passing
Right.
their regular weekly test in
Right,
school?
right,
Like,
right.
it's just.
And these are public school rules. It's not necessarily all
Okay.
because we don't offer that in private schools. So that's definitely some public school standards that they have to follow,
Okay.
which is part of unfortunate situation that can put you under stress for sure.
Okay, Mr. Price. I know this doesn't have to do with education, but what is your biggest fear? As far as it with your business, with your school, or just what is your biggest fear?
Well,
Think about it. You don't have to. Don't even worry about that camera.
I'm thinking.
Yes.
You're referring to maybe our topic of education. I'll
Right,
say
okay,
that.
let's say that.
I'll stay
Mhm,
right there.
mhm.
'Cause I mean, I go a lot of areas of fears, maybe, but the biggest fear when it comes to education, I think, is that we are going to create. Well, I feel we are creating a society of people that are not going to be able to really compete, and they're not going to be prepared because the education that they're learning is just not relevant for the world in which we're living in.
And when you say compete, you're talking about, because I'm gonna just say what I feel. In China, their kids are ready when they graduate, when high school,
Yeah,
and
so just competing in terms of their reading, their writing, their some of their skills, because we're pushing so many other things that at the end of the day, now our world has changed. Our world is changing. And I'm not sure if our education is changing or keeping up to match.
And that was
what's
another
happening in the world.
question. Yeah. Do you think? Well, we already know the answer to that. I think everyone. It has changed a lot since we've gone to school. And
Of course.
do you think we need to bring back the things that were happening back then, or do you feel like no, we need the new stuff because everything changed? You know.
Well, the mere fact that we're sitting here doing this technology says the world has changed.
Well, I
so
hope.
if we go backwards, then we won't be sitting here.
But I know, right? But sometimes, history repeat itself, and I
Right.
really hope it repeat itself as, having teachers that will help the students and have some compassion and really.
Well, you have to change the whole system first, though. So before we even work on the teachers, the structure has to be changed. So the structure, which is referring to like so many students. I mean, I can't care for 75 students.
Gotcha.
So it's not my fault.
Yeah, yeah, but
it was different back in the day. We didn't have a lot of students. In some other words, you can manage things a little bit differently. You got the same set moving from place to place versus now it's a whole different. Think about how many elementary schools you have just in this neighborhood.
Yes, every block. Almost.
Every block. So it's so many students and so many kids. That is just hard to really just manage.
So you think that's what it is? It's just
it's the number. It's the number.
But I believe that it's the teachers that are overworked and underpaid. I think that's a factor because they are there. I know a lot of teachers. I have a daycare and I had a lot of teachers as my parents that would come through my daycare, and they look so worn out and they look so just stressed because they're trying to do what they can do, and a lot of them will tell me that things are added on to their plate and they're not getting more money for it. They're just adding on to it. And it's like, come on, guys, you can't just keep doing, we're humans, and because you can't hire somebody in this position, you're just going to give this job to me. And now I got that old job I used to have, and now I'm taking this on, and then I still got my 32 students.
Right.
And
So what do we do?
So they're not really caring a lot. And that's what I'm thinking, that I know history sometimes on certain things do repeat itself.
Right.
We are evolving. We have to go forward, but we need to go backwards in the school system. And maybe I'm just alone in this by myself, but we need to go backwards because my teachers, they believed in me. They helped me. They told me positive stuff. And what I see now, the teachers are there just to, this is not all teachers. I'm not saying all teachers, but it's like, just give me my check because you're beating me down. You're not trying to give me what my worth is, and you're overworking me. So they're not really caring.
Oh, wait, let's talk about the children.
Oh, yeah.
Because
that's why I said it's such a revolving.
Exactly.
Y'all don't wait till
How can you care for that?
Exactly.
In a certain way.
I think that a lot of teachers, because in order for you to be overworked and underpaid and you're still here, you have to want to do this. So there are a lot of teachers that are very encouraging and they care about this.
Right.
The ones who come and say, okay, I'm here, I want to do this, I'm trying to graduate, I want to go to college, like I have a whole plan. But you have kids, like I've seen teachers fighting with kids.
That's
like,
insane. That's insane.
Well, that's the biggest difference between you being in school and now. Think about it. Teachers could punish the students.
Right.
That changes everything.
It really does.
That's the biggest thing.
See what I'm saying?
If the teacher themselves,
we need to go back.
So, but I mean, you can.
I know we can't. I'm saying that.
But that's one of the biggest situations that changed when you realize you could not get past the 5th grade teacher, and even the high school. When I was in high school, they still paddled.
But not only
When I
that, like you're not even okay. So minus the the teachers being able to discipline. These parents aren't doing it. So the kids aren't, if you're not afraid of your teacher or your parent, what are we left with? Because
you're a menace to society.
Exactly.
That's what you are.
Well, and now the parents are menaces to society.
Oh,
So
did he say that?
how do we now
He
deal
didn't say
with that?
that.
Because, I mean, the parents are 33 and they have children who are 16. So,
Yes.
I mean,
And they got
what,
grandkids.
what,
Yes.
right? So what do we do? I'm saying so. It's a door that's constantly going to keep.
You know how they have that saying, it's a win-win? This is a lose-lose.
And this is our
Well,
future.
all we can do is try to make
It is our
We
future.
can try to make a dent, try to make an impact, which is what we're trying to do at Basix.
Right.
When we realize that this
No,
problem
no,
is
no,
very huge.
no. It's not what you're trying to do at Basix. It's what
It's
you
what we're
are
doing.
doing
We are
at
making
Basix.
we're making a dent. We're making
Yes.
an impact, and just trying to make our mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you did speak on, about as far as the educational system preparing, making the children be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't think that I was prepared. I graduated in 2003. I was not prepared for any part of adult life outside of what I watched my parents do. Okay, you go to work, you're gonna get your job, you're gonna go pay bills, and this is life.
Right.
So is there anything that you think that we can add, I guess, to help prepare them? I know financial literacy is great. Everyone needs that. I think grown people need that.
Mm-hmm.
But what else do you think that we can add to curriculum or just offer to help prepare them for real adult life outside of Instagram?
That's half of the social skills. So many social skills are just lacking. Many of the parents don't have social skills. I can tell you the students who will text the school at 11 or 1 o'clock in the morning a message. I'm like, why do you think the school will even be open at this? So it's just common skills.
But
You'd be surprised if they need to learn how to communicate beyond the English literature book.
You know what? Oh, I feel so crazy now, guys.
Let's
Because let me just tell you, when you just said that they text the school at 1 and 2 in the morning, I do. Guys, no, don't laugh. I do that, Mr. Price, only because if I'm working on something at night, because I can't remember in the morning, or I might not set my alarm or whatever, I'll go ahead and text it, and I don't expect for them to reply back at 1 a.m. in the morning.
Sure.
I just put it in there, so when they get up and they go into the office and they pull it up, they'll see that I did send it, and of course you'll see that it was 1 in the morning, and I know that you're not at school or you're not there, but because my publisher said that to me one time. She said, look, you text me at 9 something at night after hours. I wasn't going to reply, and I said, I had to explain to her, I wasn't expecting you to reply back. I just wanted it there because it was on my head at the time, so I sent it to you. So in the morning when you look at it, you're going to reply back to me. So that might be the reason why. I'm not trying to defend crazy people, but I'm just going to say it because I'm one of them. I'm one of those people.
But see, we moved into this technological world when they had no rules to it. So everyone has their own rules.
Yeah.
So like that's your rule.
It's not a rule.
And that's fine.
It's not a rule.
That's your explanation, which is great. But you'll be surprised. And that's a good one. I understand that one. I've gotten that one. And I can probably understand that kind of text. And I think we can discern between that. But we can discern also when you're thinking, no, we're actually going to reply back to you based on what your question may be, type of situation, or just calling at different times. I'm on basic communication.
Right, and basic communication.
If we just resolve that, you'll be surprised. That's huge.
Yeah.
Email courtesy. Just understand how to reply to email. These are things these students are going to need to do in regular life.
Definitely.
And how to even formulate a complete sentence and not speak as if you're sending me a message on Instagram.
Is it still called Ebonics?
Yes.
Ebonics?
Yeah.
Are you going to offer that in the school?
Well, not at this moment.
You got everything else. That would be really good because that's it.
So
that's
this
really good.
basic communication is lacking with people.
Yes, it is.
How to just communicate on an effective, regular basis beyond how to answer questions, look me in my eyeballs.
Have you ever, Shayna and Bryce, have you ever walked into just a fast food and you just wanted to order something? And the person behind the counter is like, why did you get the job?
I have said that many days. Yes.
What you want?
Yes.
Well, we ain't got that. We ain't got no more.
Right.
What? Can you move out the way because these people waiting and you ain't even. It's like, oh my gosh. So you are so right. Communication. They don't need. Today is a new day. That's all I'm gonna say. Because we're trying to be positive, guys.
And then you'll call the grandmother, and the mother is just as bad.
It's worse.
It's not worse.
Yeah.
It's worse.
So that's what I said. So
it's like, we see this source.
If you can't communicate, read, understand what's going on, understand how lost we are.
We see the source of the problem, which is the parents. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I witnessed something what you were saying at the airport last night. This guy, I was in line for Chick-fil-A. I'm standing in line for like 15 minutes. So the girl behind
not at Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
Did you just say bad about Chick-fil-A?
Yes.
Nobody talking bad about Chick-fil-A.
The way that this girl spoke to this guy who asked a general question. I mean, the question was kind of dumb because he was asking for breakfast and it was definitely 9 o'clock at night.
Oh wow!
So she got mad. She was like, "Why he keep asking this MF question?"
No, she did not say
girl,
MF.
I was like, "Not at Chick-fil-A." Just like you said, not at Chick-fil-A.
She cursed actually, really?
Yeah, she was.
Were
like,
there people around
her?
her?
Breakfast time?
Oh my god!
I was like, I mean, I understand where she was going because it definitely wasn't breakfast time, but not at Chick-fil-A.
Wow.
So it's.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how did you even get here? Because I know Chick-fil-A.
She got here because, like Mr. Price just said, no communication skills, none of that.
No accountability.
No accountability, no respect, none.
And these kids are so used to fast money. It's like, I could be an Instagram influencer. I can be a rapper. Like, it's just like they don't really have the want to be educated anymore.
Right. No. Yeah.
You feel that way too?
I totally agree. Yes. So much Instagram influence, TikTok, and I mean, many people have done well with it. Mm-hmm. So that's also spoiled them.
Right.
So they do know tangible people that are doing well.
There is some out there that still want something, guys.
Yes, there are plenty. Yes.
But these are people who have actual work ethic. And they have goals that they're trying to attain. I want to be a doctor. There are still kids who still want to do that. And that's great because we still need those.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of them that are influenced by social media. And it's just they're seeing people get this easy money. Cool, I can get easy money too. All I got to do is make a video and my video go viral. Like, I'm good.
Exactly.
But they just don't have
But you
the
still
same
got to know
work
how to
ethic.
read.
You would think.
Okay.
And they feel they can read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's when they write that we have a problem.
Okay. Well, you know what I learned is that a lot of the kids today, and maybe I cannot say this is wrong to say a lot of them, but they don't do cursive writing.
I don't think they teach that anymore.
Because when they write something, it's always print, and it's like.
Well, now I must ask this question. Mm-hmm. They don't teach it anymore.
Okay.
But when do you use cursive?
You know what? I do when I'm signing my books at my book signing.
Okay, so outside of your signing,
signature.
so when else do you use cursive?
You don't.
Well, girl, y'all, I'm old school. I'm just old school.
So when do you use it though? When do I?
Whenever I'm
first
writing.
when do I ever write anything? Honestly,
I know right now that's
the first thing. When do I write something?
I don't write a whole bunch. You're right. We are always.
So once again, why are we going to waste time on something that we really don't use? So that's one of the first things I would agree.
That is just crazy to me.
Yeah. And your signature don't have to necessarily be in cursive. Your signature is your signature.
They have to print you know on some things.
I'm saying, but it's your whatever your significant whatever it is. That's consistent.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It's your signature. It's your signal of what exactly.
But on some documents that I sign, it'll say print, and you have to print it, and then it say sign, and you have to do it in cursive, right?
No, you do whatever.
You do whatever signature is.
I did not know
my
that.
signature is not necessarily cursive either.
And now some people
I didn't
have
know
a whole
that
stamp. The signature is in the stamp. Boom.
Exactly. So my signature, I mean, is a certain line I use, and I use it every time, and that's my signature.
Yeah, but it's still like a cursive thing.
Sure. So whatever you learn to do that.
But
why waste 2 or 3 years going through all these letters and
So what?
But just do my name?
Are you saying that they've done away with cursive writing?
They don't teach that in a lot of schools anymore. That was more recently. Yes.
Because Jayla really didn't learn cursive.
Guys.
But what are you going to use it for, though? I'm asking that question now. Once again.
I can't answer that.
And because you can't answer it,
that's
that's why so many things we have tradition. What is tradition?
But to me, that's like algebra 2.
Something that we
geometry.
do all the time. Tradition.
Just because. And many times we can't even answer why
Oh,
we
my goodness.
are doing it. And today's generation, one of the biggest reasons for these kids, the reason you're having so many issues is because we can't answer the question of why. Why? And especially they look at our miserable lives as adults sometimes and say, you want me to do what you did? Go and do this and go work for 35 years and retire and only have
Why did you say
$2,500
that?
a month
Because
and then die?
Oh my gosh, because they're smart. They're like, what you did, you did it the hard way, the long way, and it didn't even make sense.
You spent the whole career repaying your student loans. You died at 65. You retired at 63.
Yes.
That's not fun.
And that's why a lot of them don't want to. I want both of mine went to college, but that's why a lot of them don't want to go to college as well.
Sure.
Well, a lot of them are more business minded now, so they're figuring out, hey, I don't have
How can I be an entrepreneur?
Yes, that's what they're
that's
doing,
a
which
good
is
thing.
great. That is a great
Yes.
thing, but we're still missing the
We're
education
going to
part.
still need a lot of workers as well,
Right.
to employees as well.
Yes.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I hope that this was something that you could use. Basic Knowledge Academy. This is what we were talking about today. If your child is having any kind of issues in public school or anywhere for that matter, and even if they're an adult and they just want their diploma, not just GED, please look up Basic Knowledge Academy. You will not be sorry. Shayna, would you like to add something before I close?
I think it's a really good program to look into as well. Again, because there isn't another school like that. So if like she said, if your kid is having problems, like don't wait until
it's too late.
Right. And now you're trying to rush and be like, oh, what can we do? What can we do?
Yes.
Look into your options if you know that this is the problem and give them a call.
Yeah.
Definitely give them a call.
And if you see them struggling right away, yes, you call right away. Don't wait like I did, but I didn't wait. I did not know. But when you know better, you do better. So we're trying to help everyone out there. If you have, especially juniors and seniors, and you that special day, and you're stressed because you don't have those hours. Please give Mr. Price a call. Basic Knowledge Academy. It's a private school, but to me, it was a rescue school. It rescued us. So, Mr. Price, would you like to say anything in closing?
I just appreciate the opportunity. You can give us a call at 404-289-8106, or you can go to our website, which is the name of our school, Basix, Basix, knowledgeacademy.com. And we look forward to serving you 9th through 12th grade, as well as adults anywhere in Georgia.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Price,
you
for
all
being
this
here.
time. I appreciate it so much.
And as always, guys, feel the rumble and
listen to the roar.
listen to the roar.
We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.